housing market. Get the latest insights right here.
Welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker.
I'm Shelly Walters with Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker.
And today we have Patrick Tumbarello on, who, for me, when I came into the industry, so first of all, one of the things I think that's really interesting about you in particular is you kind of like come from this like kind of legacy of, I don't know, real estate royalty, I would say, locally. Like, not to put like a heavy, burden on you or whatever.
Well, he's lucky he's in it, so it's a...
Yeah, and so first of all, that matters to Shelly and I because Shelly has family in the business, and my kids are dumb enough to like want to get into this business, I think. And so it's interesting to see like you've already gone through this, and you live out by me, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit over the years, not as much as we'd like, but like we definitely, had some conversations and been some similar situations where we've been around each other, and it's been really neat. Like I looked up to you. I mean, I still do because like where you were in the business, you were a couple of years ahead of me, and so it was kind of like, all right, this is what it looks like. So you served as a role model of what I felt real estate should look like for me as like a male at the time, even though you're a couple of years younger than me, but like similar age group and what it would look like as a professional male in this industry. I think you set a really high bar for professionalism. And so it's just an honor for you to be on here. And like, I don't know, I just think you're a good ass dude. So like, I'm just really happy that you're on here because there's so much we can talk about with you, your life, transitioning, like as to like maybe starting to take this over, and just what it's like for you in this business. So. Yeah.
Well, thank you both for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely. And how it started was because it was my conversation with him when we were getting ready to do a deal together, starting to try. And, we talk a lot about professionalism and everything in the industry. And you just exude professionalism from the second we started talking on the phone call and our interactions. I just have to commend you on your professionalism. And you're just, it's hard to find, and I just want to say that it was just something that I appreciated so much on the phone, and I called him, and I'm like, I just really want to talk to him more and get inside your head and see how your business is, how you started, knowing that you came in, with your dad, and just kind of explain what made you make that final decision to jump in with the family business.
Sure. Yeah, well, and I would say ditto, right, for both of you, right? I think professionalism recognizes professionalism, right? And I think that in this industry that is actually pretty dominated by a small percentage of those with a license, right? We recognize people that take it very seriously, that study the market, study the industry, and really work on continuously bringing value to our clients. And I would say that's obviously very true for both of you because you wouldn't be where you are without that. For me, getting into the industry, I think coming out of IU in 2006, I got into the mortgage industry, which was a terrible time, right? I didn't see it coming yet, as most people did not. But the mortgage industry seemed to be a very rewarding and fun industry, especially with my dad being a successful agent. And then it crashed, right? So I went from a mortgage banker to a mortgage broker in 2008, right in time for the crash, joined the military, and had some military time, Army National Guard, but I had some active duty time. Ended up in New York where my wife, girlfriend at the time, was selling luxury new development real estate in Manhattan. So I went out there, worked a couple different positions, actually did grant management for the FDNY in the morning from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Brooklyn, and then I would drive to Long Island, where I worked for Chase as a third shift mortgage underwriter from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m.
As a third shift mortgage underwriter.
They had it, yeah. So we would, once the second shift was done, we would take over their desks and work until 10 p.m. And then I would drive back to Manhattan, where we lived in West Village, and do it all over. And I did that just long enough to leverage that experience to get picked up by JP Morgan's private bank doing real estate finance and mortgage advisory for the private bank. It's basically their private banking clients, and that was a really good, I think, segue into this. I also realized I didn't want to work for a large corporation. I didn't really want to work for anyone else, so, and nor did I want to do the rat race in New York. So shortly after we got married in 2014, I was pretty adamant about coming back. Joanna really loved New York, so she wasn't as excited to come back to Indiana. But we lived in, a 650 square foot apartment for double what our mortgage would be for a 4,500 square foot house in Indiana.
Crazy.
And ultimately came back at the end of 2014. And I joined my dad, where I had the best possible mentorship, right? And I think for anyone getting into the industry with a family member, it's the best opportunity to be mentor, especially if you have, a successful mentor, right? For me, my dad was a top producer. He'd gone back from the early 90s, doing very well in the industry, took a lot of what he learned as a recruiter for the Army, brought that, translated very well from a marketing standpoint and bringing value to clients into the real estate industry. And so I was able to pick up on that, and I was very committed in that first year to sitting in the office and learning from him day in and day out, right? So it was basically set the tone for myself, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. unless I was out on appointments. And so I'm just hearing the conversations. You're absorbing a lot of, you're shortening your learning curve well beyond what a new agent that doesn't come into the office, doesn't sit by, successful producing agents will get, right? And so I think that has usually been the biggest lesson I'll try to convey to newer agents is coming into the office, be around it, completely embrace the industry and the successful people around you, right? And listen to what they're doing, go to the meetings, and try to absorb as much as you possibly can, right?
Because you can always learn more, especially in this industry.
Well, like you said, learning through osmosis too.
Yeah.
Because
Just
you
hearing the
can't,
conversations.
and also the conversations of, like, if he and I are sitting in the office and discussing a problem we're having, I remember starting very early on at Keller Williams, and I would just listen too.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is everybody was just talking about stuff, like you already said, that had happened to them. Then the next person. I just learned about something I probably won't learn for 5 years.
Right.
But you could pick up in one day.
Yeah.
A lot of information that you never learned in CE.
That's right.
You
I
never learned in the actual classes that you take to become a realtor,
Well,
right?
it's just not real-time application, right? So,
No,
like,
never.
even with license law, like none of that. I mean, you need to know all of it, but like that's not real application of real estate, so to speak, right? As you're in the trenches, I learned everything from conversations in the office, and so that's one of the things I tell people: listen to the podcast, because it's a microcosm of that. Like, you're getting some of that can help spur conversations with your clients, so you're a little bit more educated on things. And I don't know where I'd be without it, and so I still come into the office almost every single day, and I know we got away with that with COVID and all this other stuff, and like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, just because I can work from home doesn't mean it's beneficial for me to
Absolutely.
work from home. I think it's everybody's different. I get less done at home personally, right?
Too many distractions.
100%. I got kids. My wife also works from home. Blah 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 blah. Right? I come in here. I clock in on the way here. I clock out on the way home. But for me, I just think like it's interesting to see that you got to do that. I try to do that with my team, and it's how do I shorten the curve to like each person that I bring on the team. I want them to be successful quicker than the last person.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that you could actually learn from your dad.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of friends who don't necessarily communicate the best with their dads because it's their dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm impressed that you were able to do that. I'm sure you had some issues there, right? But
yeah, very little, surprisingly, right? And I think by the time I came back at the age that I was, there was enough maturity to sit back, shut up, and listen, right?
Yeah.
And he was also retired first sergeant, and I was a captain. And in the military, those two work together.
Yeah.
They are essentially partners in a unit. And so I think we both took this kind of position, right? Even though, he obviously was leading it because he had all the experience. My experience was based more on the transactional and finance side from the mortgage industry, but it shortened my learning curve as well, just having that background. So being able to come in, learn from him, but also take over certain tasks that gave him the ability to grow his business in that time as well, right? But I totally agree. A lot of people, you've seen it with spouse groups, right? They just can't work well together, right? They, some are phenomenal at it, others are not. And same with parent-child business relationships. Sometimes they don't work. Fortunately for me and for my dad, we worked very, very well together. We still work very well together.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful.
It's been a good journey.
If my wife came and worked on my team, it'd be a coup d'etat.
Yes.
She'd take over in a heartbeat.
100%. Same with me. Yeah.
My husband joined, he was 30 years in the car industry
Okay.
as a general manager. So
Yeah.
he ran the dealership, right? So
Yeah.
when he came to work for me,
Yeah.
I was like, how is this going to work?
Yeah.
Because I was just really concerned that he would think all of a
Sure.
sudden he's still a GM. And
Yeah.
he went under me.
Yeah.
And he learned from me.
Yeah.
I was shocked. But that was a
It's a
situation.
smart husband. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
but I mean, he was already in sales, right?
Sure,
But it
yeah.
is, and then like I have my son-in-law who works for me, and we've never ever butted
Yeah.
heads. I have my daughter working for me now, Raquel, who's doing all my social media and marketing, and she's
Sure.
trying to learn too. We've never really butted heads, not in the industry part of it, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you leave the realm of real estate, it may happen right off the bat.
That's right, yeah.
Something else is going
Got
on.
nothing to do with real estate.
Yeah,
We're
so
going to do a podcast with our spouses
We
on
are.
here. And, man,
That'll be fun,
I'm
yeah.
not looking forward to
Yeah.
it at all.
we keep saying that we've mentioned it a couple of times, and people are like, oh, would love to hear it.
Yeah,
So
what's
we're
your
like,
what's your wife think of your cell phone ringer?
Oh, it is.
What's your cell phone ringer?
It is. Well,
It doesn't matter
It
what
doesn't
it is.
matter. It's just always.
It's
It's,
al-
always that. And
Yeah.
so yes, that she understands that's a part of it. And the good thing for me is her background was real estate as well. So that's what
She
she
gets
did.
it.
Yeah,
work.
that's
Yeah.
true.
So she gets it, but she also wants me to be present, right? Like the fact of the matter is, we are not curing any sort of illness. Like very rarely are we, she's like, you can turn it off.
Yeah.
Right. The thing is, at the level that we're at, it's ongoing always. So the longer you ignore it, the more you have to catch up.
Correct.
And that is, so we'll go next week is fall break for the kids. We might do a couple days in Chicago. She knows that I'll be fielding phone calls and messages the whole time I'm there. That's just part of what it is, right? And that is how we continuously bring value. Some of it can be delegated to team members.
But not always
But-
everything.
Well,
Exactly, but yeah, some things you have to be the client facing,
But I
point
think
of
we've
contact.
gotten, when you do enough business, like I can problem solve, handle a situation, delegate it out, and move right along and still be present, right? Like I'm not.
It's
like,
a quick message.
It
right?
is, it's not like
It's
my whole
constant,
day
but
shut
it's a
out.
quick message.
But it's
Correct.
also, like you're saying, you put it off and then you've got so much more to do.
That's right.
But it's also, if that situation comes into your phone and you see it and you can handle it right
Yeah.
there, it stays this big.
That's right.
If you don't, it becomes bigger because
right.
now you're also putting your client off who's super stressed, whatever is
Yeah.
going on. And it's just easier to fix it and do it. And I think that all of our spouses have figured
Yeah.
out that we aren't going to delve into it for 2 hours if we're
Correct.
supposed to be present, but we may need to take 10 or 15
Yeah.
to keep it from growing because this is emotions half the time
That's
that's
right.
all involved in our clients. Or
Yeah.
another agent who's doing something that you just need
That's
to just
right.
settle down real quick. But
Well, and I think we would probably all agree, right? We are dealing with people's biggest investments, and so
Yep.
there's
big deal.
tons of emotion
Yep.
involved. And what I have learned is this industry feels like a big sociology study, right? We see how people deal with stress. We see how they respond to stress, to excitement, and there are so many different personality types that you understand very quickly what you're dealing with very early on,
Yep.
right, in a transaction, whether it is with the other agent or your clients, or what you're hearing about the other clients, right, just through the other realtor. So you usually know, and I think where we're at, it's almost like a standard operating procedure of how I'm going to respond to things, how quickly I think I can deal with an inspection issue or a negotiation issue. And so, yes, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it may have been an hour conversation. Now it's a 5-minute conversation because I know what I need to say. I know what needs to be done and what maybe can be delegated.
and you have the confidence to do that.
Correct, yeah.
Because that
Comes with
confidence,
experience,
yeah,
right?
confidence and experience comes with being able to turn that into a 5-minute
Certainly.
conversation.
It's like, hey, it's not that big of a deal. We don't have enough information to freak out. Call this person,
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
them out there,
Right.
and then once we have that information, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The professionalism, I think that comes with being a professional, right? And that's a learning curve. I
Yeah.
think, for you, your dad probably helped teach you some things that he learned along the way. For me, like I had to find out on my own with some bumps and bruises and just some learned experience from listening to conversations. I don't understand, though, why I feel like we have grown stagnant with professionalism in this industry. and why it's either not. Maybe it's just personality, and people either gravitate to it and they're going to be successful or not. Or I don't know if people really know what they're getting into with this job, but like we've talked about this, I don't understand why professionalism isn't given such a top notch, and then we shoot ourselves in the foot because we're teaching more about marketing than professionalism, and professionalism.
Yeah, make sure you
is
get
the
that
best
video
marketing.
out. Make sure you, yeah.
And one of the things that you and I talked about is like where we met, and like I don't really care. Like I try to be very transparent on this podcast. Like you and I met in this thing where we got an email saying like, hey, do you want to be on a TV show? It's like top agents, blah blah blah. And you and I showed up, and some other people, and it was going to cost money. And Alex Montagano was in there. He kind of left in the middle of it because he kind of knew what was going on. You and I just don't think we were still green enough to kind of be like, I don't know, what do you think, man? And like you did some research on it, and it was kind of like this layering that you should do like once like every box you've had checked. Like it's like you could do this too, right?
Which was a nice way of saying don't do it, right?
Correct.
And that was the message that I understood. I was reading between the lines is, hey, there are so many other ways that you can market yourself, right?
Correct.
And what is being offered to us with that, we were the consumer.
We were,
right?
100%.
We were the consumer. We believed that it was an opportunity for us to, and certainly it would have been good visibility, but it wouldn't have been the right move, right? If anything, I feel it would have been a distraction from the other things that could bring value to our clients.
And it costs enough. It could have
Yeah.
like taken you out of the business to a certain
Correct,
extent
yeah.
if you run it too long, right?
Yeah, if you did it for too
Well,
long.
they're the kind of people that work on trying your what do you call it, your ego. They're
Correct.
like, oh, we can do this and this for you. But if you really dive down into it, because I have a TV background, and when they reached out to me, first thing I ask is how much is it going to cost me?
Yeah.
Because they're portraying it as that it's going to be you on TV and everything like that.
Correct.
Well, in my background, if I'm on TV, you're paying me.
Right. Yeah.
Like, why am I paying you to put me on TV?
Right.
And they're like, whoa. And I go, well, I said, you're not making any sense.
Yeah.
Because if you're really putting me on TV, I'm not paying for it.
Correct.
And all that kind of stuff that they put out there is just what they always said when I first started at different places. It's like even Tony Robbins there, I'll talk about like, be careful. There's always going to be another shiny penny in front of you.
right.
And
Yeah.
just be very careful that your money that sounds great. Let me throw it here. And new agents, like you said, that'll put you out of business quicker than anything if you just keep throwing it at the shiny penny.
This business can $100 you to death.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and
every
your
day there's a new
top
product.
100 friends, if you're just starting, or your
Yeah.
top 100 anything, your past clients, there's your moneymaker.
That's right.
That's throw your money at them, and you're
Every
gonna do so
year
much
they
better.
keep doing it, and I just got a text about it. That's why I was thinking about it, because you were coming on.
Oh, yeah, they're
and I'm
here.
like, they don't even check their database.
I
I've
know.
already
Like,
told
Right.
them no
Yeah.
like three times,
Yeah.
right?
Same. It's funny because I thought of you when I saw it. In the last couple of days, it was like, it's
What
not
have you got?
happening. Right?
Yeah.
But I
Like,
always
do I be rude and just reply unsubscribe, or do I just like delete it? Right.
and to me, like, I'm going to see people fall for it
Yeah.
in the next couple months.
And we always,
That's
we
why
saw
there's-
it
that's
afterwards.
why they're-
people
they're-
that were in the room with us. I see them. They're like, I'm announcing that I'm on this TV show.
I'm on
and I'm
TV
like-
now. Yeah, whatever.
But what do you do there? Like, I don't, do I reach out and, I don't want to be slanderous towards a
Yeah.
company. I
Certainly.
don't want to put myself in a bad spot, but I just feel like you and I were very lucky. I was very lucky that you were in a place where you had somebody you could talk to about it. And then I was just lucky enough to meet you so I could talk to you about it,
Yeah.
because otherwise, like, that's a coin flip on how that goes for me.
sure,
And how do you save other agents from that situation?
I've asked you, and I want to ask you, have you heard of Ready.com?
I have
you
not.
not? Okay, so this is on Fox all the time. Ready.com, you will say not to talk bad about companies. Their marketing is that agents hire the best agents out there, but when you hire them, they pay you to sell your house. They will pay you up front, and they sell their houses 3 to 4 months faster, and they sell it for 10% more than other agents. That's the generalness of that ad.
Yeah.
It don't even make sense in my head.
It doesn't make any sense, first of all, to sell 3 to 4 months faster when we're not even selling. I mean, maybe
right,
2
yeah.
months. I mean,
Would I sound it before it goes
and
on
they're
the
saying
market?
agents literally will throw thousands of dollars at you to list your home. And I want to call so bad and be a seller and go, what in the world are you all talking about? And what agent does this?
Yeah.
Like, there's some really strange marketing ploys out there for agents.
Yeah.
That one kills me. I just really want to find out about that one. So what are your strongest marketing things that you think are best for you that you have found?
Like marketing techniques?
Yeah, what's your go-to?
Well, so
Without giving away family secrets.
Yeah, no, and as I think we were talking before, right? I think getting the visibility across as many different avenues as possible, right? So social media, just from an organic standpoint, without even paying for advertising, is a great way, which is why it's important to have it across every platform that you can, right? Doing YouTube videos. So this is very big for me, is doing cinematic videos on my listings and then pushing it out. YouTube is owned by Google, right? And so then pushing it across all the Google platforms, and you can control the geographic boundaries in which, you're targeting. So you're getting it in front of what I believe is, the right database, the right sphere for potential buyers, right? And I think that the video marketing is very big. And then I'm also very big on aerial twilight photography and videography, right? So if you've ever been a buyer or you've just looked
Every
at
house
listings,
or the right house?
most houses I'm doing, most houses I'm doing it unless for whatever reason it just doesn't work, due to weather. Because I don't do the AI generated. My photographer is actually out there at twilight taking it, and it's not inexpensive, right?
No, it's like
I know.
125 extra for that.
Oh, it's more than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say mine's more than that too. Yeah. I sometimes go take my own, and I'm like, I can do this.
Right. Yeah.
It matters though.
No, and it does, right? So
it looks pretty.
If you're a consumer, right, and you're looking, and they all start to blend together, front exterior, front exterior, and then you get the twilight photos, right?
Matters.
So you're getting the golden hour, and that catches your attention. And statistically speaking, they're far more likely to then look at the next pictures. The more pictures they look at, again, statistically speaking, the far more likely they are to schedule an appointment and come view it, right? And that's why the marketing is so critical. So I'll spend a lot of money on the marketing, but I'm seeing the houses sell faster and at a higher dollar, right? And that's ultimately what the clients want to see. So,
one of the things I think that you do better than most people I see is consistency. I don't even know. I mean, obviously, like you find your path through it and everything, but like you're consistent. All of us see people out there who like, oh, they do something and they're like, this is a really good idea. And then it just disappears in 2 months. Like the podcast, like we see people want to do podcasts all the time. We've been doing podcasts, this one for a couple years, but podcasts in general, you and I've been doing for 5 years now.
Yeah.
I'll see like 3 episodes of a podcast, and I'm like,
and then they fizzle out.
Yeah, I mean, we had that one, what's his name on who does podcasts or whatever.
Yeah.
He said, I don't even remember.
Thomas.
Yeah, I think he said like 90% don't even make it to 7 episodes, and then like an even smaller amount make it past 20. And you just have to be consistent with it. So do you do like TikTok or anything like that?
I don't do TikTok.
Me
I mean,
either.
I'll throw some of my talking head videos on TikTok.
Yeah.
But and I remember I got a deal out of TikTok. I got a call from someone. She found me on TikTok. It was one of my videos that I posted on Instagram and Facebook. Threw it on my TikTok as well. But I just don't focus on it enough.
Are you doing it all yourself?
I mean, outside of like the professional marketing for listings, but everything else I do. In fact, most videos I just shoot in my car in the driver's seat between appointments.
I know.
It's to maximize my time, and I'll
get
shoot
pulled
it.
over one of these days.
No,
dude.
I'm never driving.
He's sitting still.
I'm never driving. It is like I'll just pull
You're
up.
very smart about it. Yeah. Do you? I see agents driving and doing. I'm like, man, y'all crazy. I'm not trying to get in trouble. I think you're really good at that. I'm not a big TikTok guy. I think if I was going to be the TikTok guy, I would have been. Kyle Engel. He's amazing at it. He's got a marketing background from what I know. My inspector
The indie
knows
girls, indie home girls.
I think that if you're going to be that person, you probably are that person. Yeah. And so
you've got to commit to it, right? And he has committed
a ton. Yeah, a ton. He puts a lot behind it.
Well, he probably has fun at it too. You have to enjoy what you're doing in this business, right?
You gotta know what you're good at.
You gotta be good at it and have fun at it.
But it's like the TV show thing, right? Like you're either that person or you're not, right? And I can't. How many people have you met over the years who were like, "Ooh, I want to have an HGTV."
Right.
Like, no, I don't want to do that. Right. Like, it sounds like an absolute headache.
Ask me.
Yeah. But and you've even done one. You did the Lake Life one, right? But I struggled with TikTok because everywhere else on social media, I have zero problems being a business owner and not a consumer.
Right.
The algorithm of TikTok was so strong.
100%.
I couldn't prevent myself from not being a consumer,
Right.
and I would lose time. And I was like, I can't do this.
You get on to post a video, and it immediately starts throwing. And you're like, and then you're distracted.
Yeah.
You're 15, 30 minutes in. You're like, what a waste of my time.
And
right?
this is our children growing
Yeah,
up.
well, and that's why our household is very, very, very strict about any sort of social media stuff. And they're too young right now, anyways. But we limit any sort of screen time because we understand how addictive it is.
Yeah,
and it is designed with algorithm. They get on YouTube and it just keeps pumping videos to them, and they can tell the algorithm is designed so intelligently well that it will continue to push the videos in front of them that will keep them engaged.
Yeah.
Right?
How old are your kids?
6, 7, and 9. So yeah.
Man.
Chaos in my house right now.
That's a lot.
That's fun.
That's super cool,
It's
though.
wild.
One of the cool things is, like, because of this job, I got to coach my kids in football, soccer, basketball. Like, so there's so many perks to this. But it's interesting, that algorithm is so good if I'm trying to touch the consumer. Right. I just know for some reason I struggled with it. And even though it could be beneficial to my business, it pulls away from me from who I want to be as a business owner. And so, like, I had to be like, maybe I can't do as well, but I'll be in a better space.
Sure.
And, like, that's just what I'm going to have to choose to do. And, like, to me, that goes back to the professionalism piece that we're talked about, where how do you learn how to be professional in this business? Like we're talking about, I still can't get people to give feedback on houses. Last night, second offer in a row I've had where I just checked my email. I have an offer in my inbox. I never got a text. I never got a phone call, anything. I'm happy I got an offer. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I do not understand. First of all, I'm excited to this day. I've been doing this 17 years last week. I am excited to this day to submit an offer or receive an offer. Yeah. Like, I want to tell you, guess what's in your email? I just sent you an offer. Why would somebody just send an offer and just go away and hope that, it showed up? I mean, sometimes it shows up in spam and never would know it. And then now they've got their buyer who's wondering what happened to my offer. And like, I don't know, that stupid agent didn't even respond to me. Now all of a sudden I'm the bad guy.
That's right.
And I didn't even know what happened.
Yeah.
But that kills me that happens. Those are two things that are so easy to do. Text, and the feedback comes right in your email. Click and respond back. Neither one of those takes more than 30 seconds.
That's right.
And it's huge professionalism.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of that starts with the training and the mentorship, right? And then standardizing everything. So for me, everything that I do, I try to standardize, right? I don't want to reinvent the wheel. There's an SOP for everything. So I will call an agent. I'll let them know an offer is coming, right? And because I usually, before I even write the offer, I need to know more information.
Yeah, talk to the agent before the offer. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
And so I want to find information out that is valuable both for that other agent and their clients and then my clients so that we get off on the right foot and that we can write the best possible offer. That is a win-win, right? And so it starts with the conversation. So that already should let the agent know an offer is likely coming. Right, I usually will never commit to it that an offer is coming until I know that an offer is coming. But then once I send it, I've got an SOP, like a template for how I'm presenting the offer. It's a bullet pointed overview of what is in the actual purchase agreement. And then once I send it, I'm copying it and texting it with that same. So there's no way that this agent doesn't know that an offer has come, right?
What do you feel about sending it through Dotloop and through DocuSign?
I don't like that because there's always the potential for it to end up in spam, right?
And they don't have their emails attached to it either.
Correct,
and like I can't even get back to you.
That's
I have to call you and ask you how to get a hold of you.
And a lot of times too, if they hit the reply, it's not going directly to. And I think we had this, right, where I think Michaela may have one of my team members sent a reply, and I think it's just out in the ether, right? I don't think it ever made it back to Shelly.
Because it stays within the Dotloop, and I'm just, there's certain things to find out of how the agent wants to work with you, but the Dotloop thing is when it comes to you, it doesn't have an email even attached to it, but it can end up in spam so easily. So
so like, and I'm glad you guys pointed that out because I don't do that. I do it through through Dotloop, mainly because if
I'll
I
do
can do it on my phone
like
and stuff.
inspection responses and stuff like that. I'll send it with and I'll select the button to
Yeah.
attach the PDF.
Definitely.
Which is hard though because some inspections are too big.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that when that
well,
happens,
the
yeah.
inspection response, but I'll always send the report in a
Separate
in a
email.
separate
Yeah.
email. Sometimes it ends up as like a Google Drive file because it's over
Yeah.
25 megabytes
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah.
the threshold is. But yeah, so an offer and counter offers, I'm always sending via email, even
That's
if it
good.
has
I like
to be on my phone. In between appointments, but I'm also
Yeah.
following up with a text. Right?
That's my thing. Is like I think I'm pretty good about. I don't have an issue with it. I like the idea of it, and I'm probably going to implement it based on you guys saying it. But I'm so engaged through text and phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't respond to an email anyways. They would just text me back because I'm so big on phone and text.
Sure.
When it comes to the other agents and even like keeping them up to date, like. Even if it's a counter and I'm like, hey, I sent it for, like, I even tell them, I sent it for signatures. I'm waiting on
Yes.
signatures.
Yeah.
Like I do
Yeah.
all
It's the
of that stuff.
communication,
Yeah.
right? The communication is huge.
Yeah.
Communication with your clients and with the other parties. Right?
Well,
It
and
just makes a
also,
big
if you're
difference.
doing that, hey, it's out for signatures. Guess what? The next agent's going to go to the seller and say it's out for signatures. It calms the seller down too.
That's right.
If everybody stays here and calm and
That's
just
right.
is communication all the way through, it's going to be a better deal.
Because without it, they create their own narrative.
Yes,
Always.
correct.
Yeah.
The
And it's
story
not a
being-
good one.
Yeah,
It's never a good one if they're
never
creating
good.
it.
least generous interpretation. every
Well,
time,
and
right?
I'm all about buyers and sellers meeting.
Yeah.
Like, I think if buyers and sellers meet, there is now a face, there's a human being in front of
Yeah.
you. There's the nice person that you think is an absolute
Far
horrible
less likely
person.
to be contentious. Yeah.
Far less likely to fall through.
Yeah.
And back in Sweetwater, it was not uncommon that I would say, in my opinion, about 30 to 40, maybe even 50% of buyers and sellers would meet because they're all outside all the time. Like when you're looking at the house, they're waiting on the dock to get back in their house, or they're getting
Yeah.
ready to go on the boat, or they need, a beer. They met.
Right.
And those were always just smoother. And that's what taught me. And like when it's up here and somebody says the seller wants to stay, they have to work from home. I'm like, absolutely. And would she be willing to stay and also talk to my buyers?
Sure.
And if they have questions. And it always just helps. So if I
Yeah.
can, I'm making them meet somehow.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it's,
there's tons of benefit to it most of the time.
I think so.
So where is the disconnect with this, right? I mean, it's taught. Is it because when you're new, you're just focused on staying? And so, I mean, that's the real thing, People are like, I'm a number one horrible example of this with CRM, right? They're like, hey, when you're new, start your CRM.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. I put the five people I know in it. And then my business kind of just exploded. And then, like, it's been a perpetual problem to backfill the CRM.
It is so hard.
Right.
Yes.
And so I don't know, like maybe we need mentors for agents. Like there's got to be a way to do it because the first time I'm ever going to probably learn to notice your name is through if you gave me feedback on a house that you
Yeah.
showed of mine. Right?
Right.
And like it will just set a good, I don't know, kind of like bullet point in my head of like, I don't see this, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You already got a leg up in my book. Right. And
Absolutely.
so why are we is it, you guys would know better than me. I don't remember it being this bad pre-COVID. I don't. I
What?
also wasn't
This
doing
what?
the volume back then, right?
Feedback?
Yeah, like all of it.
Well, feedback and communication.
professionalism,
Yeah.
all of it.
Oh, so I think I was going to go back to this when you're asking this question. I was at an event when I was speaking for running for the board, and they were talking about the stats of new agents. And if I remember correctly, it's like in the past, since COVID, 73% of the agents with my board, 73, 75, are under 5 years old. That's how many.
There was a huge boom as
Yeah.
a result of COVID, right? Anything
Yeah.
would sell, maybe not to the best circumstances, but they could put anything on the market and it would sell because of the.
So that's how they
low-
learned.
Right. So you'll see the agents that did well pre-COVID that are doing really well now versus those that came in and did, were rock stars during COVID, but they didn't know how to negotiate inspections.
Yep.
They didn't know how to communicate appropriately. It was just such a fast-paced market during those 2-3 years. But really, really over probably an 18-month period where everything was almost insane, right? And that was their training. I mean that,
And they
so
didn't have
adapting
to do-
a balanced
yeah.
market is very different.
They
It
didn't
is.
have to do what they really needed to do to run a business
Yeah.
in a
You didn't have
normal
time.
market. No.
You didn't
So
have
now
time
it's
at
like
all.
the people skills are back. You need to
That's
have your
right.
people skills and
Managing
just.
expectations, talking
Yeah.
about price reductions.
So I think
Calling your
that's you're asking
clients
why.
in.
I think it's because of the industry for 70% of agents we're working with was a fast-paced, crazy market. Didn't have to do a lot of the like basics.
But cool, but like we're not there anymore.
I know.
And so
Well, that's-
why are we not?
But that's why
pivoting
there's a
back?
lot of agents struggling, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you're talking, and I think we were talking about this earlier, I think it was 73% of agents sold 0 homes in 2024. 73%.
That's
I mean, that is a
wild.
substantial amount.
And
And
how
I
do
bet
you
it's-
afford that?
I bet it's worse this year.
I mean, well, so there's a lot that got out, right? And then there's a lot that they're not full timers, right? Either it's a spouse or some where it's
Yeah.
secondary income. So you know, the fact of the matter is, I don't want to disparage the industry, but it's a fairly low barrier for entry,
Right.
Right.
Well, you're not the first person to say
Right.
that.
Yeah. So, but you know, being able to actually, you know, bring value and sustain, you know, your business and understand what's necessary when you're helping people with the number one investment in their lives, right? That is a different story. And so for so many of them, right, they get in and then they don't have the proper mentorship, they don't have coaching, and depending on what background they came from, right? So for me, for instance, I came from the corporate world and military, right?
Yeah.
So those are two different industries.
Both
where I
regimented
learned-
though.
Yeah, I learned a lot about, you know, communications and professionalism in the business world, right? I got that at JP Morgan, tons of it there, and then also on the mortgage side. So, you know, there's a skill set that comes with all that that some people don't have coming into it, depending on whatever industry they're coming from. And so,
And some are coming from no industry. They're just
Exactly.
jumping into real estate, which can be very willy-nilly if you don't
absolutely.
make it compartmentalized for everything you do.
But I see those people succeed also, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I wish we put more of a focus on it and less of a focus on the marketing piece. Marketing is marketing. You know, I don't think people understand. Okay, I don't think consumers understand how much professionalism matters behind the scenes for you to actually get your transaction done.
I agree.
And I don't, and I think if they did know, they would start to ask questions of their agents of how well they communicate, because all three of us at this table, I already know it's true for the two of us. I know it would be for you. I know for a fact there are a ton of deals I have gotten that I was not the best offer, but because they chose me,
Yes.
because of my communication, they
Yes.
know who I am, they know we'll get the deal done.
How you presented the offer.
100%, all of that. And consumers don't realize they are being hurt by lack of professionalism on their agents' end. Now, not everybody, right? And you can still
But
get
a
stuff
lot,
done,
yeah.
but more than people think.
Yeah.
More than
Well,
people
especially
think.
in a competitive situation, right? Because I've had plenty of those where, you know, you're representing a client and maybe it's the best that they can do, but it is not the best offer received, right? And it's how you present it to that listing agent. It's how you represent your client and how you communicate that gives the peace of mind they're going to get it to the finish line, right? Versus, hey, these people look good on paper because they just threw something out there, but I don't have confidence that they're going to get it to the finish line, right? It could be a great offer, but if it doesn't make it, doesn't come to fruition, it's
But that's the conversation, like you said before you even start, is you could change your whole offer by one thing, and that is they say they want possession after closing for 3 days.
right.
And nobody else called and asked that question, so
Right.
all the other offers are possession
Yeah.
at closing, and you gave the 3 days,
That's right.
but you had 5,000 off on the listing. You may get the house because you gave them the days, but the conversation with the agent on what does your seller need
100%.
can win you the deal, and you pay less. It can happen, and the conversations have to start way before you're starting to negotiate. And we've already said that probably 3 times today, but that's how you get your deals done and accepted. And having a relationship in the, you know, like you said, even seeing a name come across with feedback. Let's say they're looking at
I notice it.
multiple houses. And he's like, I've seen her multiple times. I already know her just because I know she's at least giving me feedback. When I pick up the phone and get to talk to somebody, at least I've heard the name 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling like we have something relationship. So
That's
get
right.
in front of as many agents as possible. Like you were saying, go into the office.
Yeah.
I highly recommend agents get to the division meetings.
Yeah.
Absolutely go to Northside Division, Hamco, Boone County, all of them. There is multiple division meetings, and that's networking within your industry. And
Yeah.
that's highly recommended, and that is not used enough either by agents.
I think when people don't leave feedback, my response is, you don't list enough houses to realize how much that matters.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I don't know how many houses you have on the market right now, but I mean, I know your volume is more than, we're about the same volume. You're a higher dollar price point, and I know what you've got to be dealing with when your sellers leave.
Oh, I know it's coming.
Yeah.
I know when
And you're like,
there's,
please send this.
you know, and that's part of that expectation management up front. I have to explain to my sellers.
To sellers,
Yeah.
we're
I
probably
say,
not going
hey,
to get it.
The same way you're getting the notifications for a showing, you're going to get a similar notification when feedback is received. I like to say that you're going to get it within 24 hours, but please understand this has probably been one of the biggest lines of contention is that so many agents do not provide it.
Yep.
I promise you I'll do my best to get you that feedback, but unfortunately not every agent works on the same
Sounds like you
level
were in my
of
listing appointment
cooperation,
yesterday.
right?
Yeah,
it's like-
I mean, we all have to say the same thing, right? But here's the thing: when you I finished that with no feedback is no offer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. But
interest
in
is-
today's
yeah.
world, where we're now on the market with more days on market, which we're up, some of the stats showing, you know, I looked at the ones my board just put out. Inventory is up like unbelievably high compared to last year.
Absolutely.
It's like
Yeah.
in the 40%
Yeah.
in some of the, like Hamilton County's up 48% over
Yeah.
last year. And now our houses are sitting.
Yeah.
And we want to know why.
Yeah.
So
Sellers
that's
want
the
that
other
feedback.
thing is all these agents who came in, the 70% or whatever, the past 3 years, they didn't last long enough to anybody even care what the feedback was.
Right.
We care now.
Yeah.
And those are the agents that didn't ever have to, so they never got in the habit. So habits are huge too. But if we can get feedback now, we need it.
Yeah.
We want to know why is it here 30 days later.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, I think, of where we've rolled into the normal market of 2019.
Sure.
I think, I mean, we could have you on here. I want to have you on again. I want to talk more about professionalism. I just think you are a very
Exudes
good.
it.
Yeah, I mean, you're just a beacon of it.
I would be happy to.
Yeah,
So,
there's so much I'd like to pick your brain on, even more on.
Anything else you want to touch on that we haven't touched on today?
Yeah,
that
so and I think this is more towards other agents, right? And this is very big in the Tom Ferry network. Is just a couple books that I think are absolutely instrumental in how we communicate with clients, with prospective clients, with other agents. So Chris Voss, if you've ever heard of him, he was a hostage negotiator for the FBI. He became known as the #1 hostage negotiator in the world. And he took that skill set from hostage negotiations to the corporate world. So now he runs a consultation company called Black Swan, but he's got a book, which is the best negotiations book I've ever read, called Never Split the Difference. Would absolutely recommend that to anyone, and really in any industry, and really for anything. It's just because the primary focus of it is how do we communicate with people, right? And the other one, there's a guy named Phil Jones, who's a big part of the Tom Ferry coaching network as well. And he's very big on negotiations and communications. And his book is called Exactly What to Say. So those are the two probably best books that I've ever read or listened to. I do audiobooks as I'm driving around between all our appointments, right? Listen to both of those multiple times, and they're phenomenal at communications, and it makes a tremendous difference in how we communicate. I mean, even with your spouse, right? Like just certain things that are very helpful and instrumental in having good communications with people. But I think if every agent, you know, if it was I would rather see that as a mandatory requirement than some of the things that we have to do. And I would love to see that as a continuing education, is just hearing from a couple of these gentlemen. On the training, because
Maybe we can get
it's
him to come and
incredibly-
talk it for Tucker.
That would be
Wouldn't that be
phenomenal.
fun?
Yeah.
You know, it's not hard to get somebody like that out. You just, if they're swinging through the area, they may
Yeah.
just stop over. That would be a fabulous
I mean,
idea.
I could see one of them doing a HanaCon or something like that.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure, right.
Yeah.
Because these guys are, especially Chris Voss. I would say he's very well known now, so I would imagine his fee is pretty high. But I mean, he was very instrumental in the coaching with Tom Ferry. and he's come to multiple of the events.
And you're doing coaching with Tom Ferry?
Yes, yeah. So that
And you have for a long time.
How long have you been doing
I have
Tom
since
Ferry?
2019, and that has been probably the most instrumental aspect of my growth. Right.
You've told me that. And then
I just started with Buffini, and
Did
I've
you?
been wanting to do coaching since I started, and here it is,
Buffini's
17
great,
years
yeah.
later. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to start coaching because everybody raves about it and how much it really helps you grow. And you know what the worst part is? Damn, they try to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Like
the worst
that's
part.
that's the worst part. It's like
not a
she
magic
calls
pill.
me and she's
Yeah.
like, "Did you do this?" And I'm like, "Oh boy,
Some of
I'm
the
gonna have to get
conversations are
used to
tough,
this."
right?
Yeah.
Like,
But-
I was just kidding when I said
Yeah.
that, you know.
He's like, so what are we going to do this week? And
Yeah.
then you say it, and he's like, all right, we're going to talk about it next week.
Yeah,
You know, and
we actually have to talk about it
Yeah.
next week. No, so I'm proud of you for doing that.
Yeah,
it's
thank you.
it's been difficult. I've been doing it for like 6 weeks, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend that as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
I think you're also a poster child to show how it works and the success of it, because I do think that's part of the discipline is that, and then implementing things, and then held accountable that has done all the marketing. And I do think there was a lot on your shoulders of taking over a family business that was already successful.
Yeah.
So, you know, does this go downhill or does this grow?
Yeah.
And you know, because you've invested in that, it's very evident that it has grown ever since. So
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I love you guys, man. I really, really do.
Yeah, great team on the Tucker, the Tucker home with Tumbarello team, and I'm sure your dad's very proud of you.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. And we have fun. Right. And, you know, you look at it, and I know this will resonate with you because it's something that I would want with my kids. You know who your parents are as a parent, right? But then you get to work with them, and you became my best friend, right? Like, we're going to lunch, and the busier I got, the lunches got a lot less frequent, but that was just so fun coming back from New York, learning from him every day, and then, like, hey, you want to go grab lunch? We'll go grab lunch, right? And
just talk about deals. and stuff.
talk shop, talk about the family, talk about whatever, right? But that is, to me, I think something that you can't replace that, right? And
That's what it's all
that's
about.
that's been fun, and to grow the business together. And we're both incredibly competitive, right? And so I think that drove us both to continue to want to do better. But no one will want to see you beat them more than your own parents.
Yeah, right. Very
like,
true.
No, I don't think any man on the earth wants to see another man beat them at something unless it's their son or their daughter.
Right, right.
And I would imagine it's the same for
Well, that's
a
the
mom.
whole idea for me
Yeah.
as a parent too. Is I
Providing-
want to leave a
a
legacy
legacy.
that
Sure.
will make their life better.
Certainly.
Obviously,
Yeah.
monetarily, whatever. I
the
mean,
whole
part
goal.
of the thing, not just money in this business, to me, is the people.
Yeah.
I absolutely
relationships that
in
you
love
built,
the
yeah.
people and what.
And if I just teach a legacy of be a good person, teach my children how to communicate and do the right things, they'll be successful anywhere they go.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
And so it's really neat that I can teach life principles that they can then use in business, which will make them successful in business. Because that is the thing that my kids do get to see is time management, problems and solutions, and my kids get to hear the phone calls where like you're driving in the car and you're like, hey, everybody be quiet.
Yeah.
Put this on
Right, yeah.
speakerphone, and like you got
That's
somebody
right. And they hear
upset,
it.
and
They
they
hear
get
it.
to hear
They're
me
in the
like be the calmness.
That's right.
Walk through it,
Yeah.
all this other stuff, and then they think you're like, man, that's awesome, and I'll be like, now go clean your room, or whatever.
But I think for you, right, they see you giving back to the community.
Yeah.
Because I think that is something that
It's a big
that
part of
is
what I do.
a huge part of your brand is, who you are is well beyond the business. It is really giving back and being, I think, a pillar of the community, right? And not everyone in our industry does that, right?
No.
It is
Not to his level.
Yeah, not anywhere close to your level, right? And so, you have such a fascinating background, and you've taken that as an opportunity to, I think, number one, let your kids see what that is, right? To give back and look at this new opportunity in front of you that is not just about, financial success. It is about building relationships, giving back, and helping people build themselves as well. And I think that is one of the fascinating aspects of our business is that we have the freedom to build the business in whatever way that we want. And you've taken it and done something that very few I've ever seen have done, right? And I think that that is an accolade to you, and I think and a huge compliment to the industry.
I
So,
appreciate that.
yeah.
I appreciate that. It all happened by accident. Not intent, you know.
Well, you
But-
didn't
It's a
give
happy
up.
accident.
Yeah.
You did not give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is neat, you know, to be able to do that and to teach them. And I think that's because of the way I do it. That's why they're interested in it. And same for like the way, I mean, your dad did it in different ways. You know what I mean? Like everybody kind of does it in their own way. I do it in an outspoken way for a certain type of people or whatever. But I get to be my own boss.
Yeah,
And
it's the best.
so that gets to mean what I want it to mean.
That's right.
And you know, I don't think everybody in our industry takes advantage of that. And I do see the three of us doing that. That gets me into like, you know, like I'll ask you another time about, you know, like about flipping and all this other stuff and agents and, you know, my thoughts on that stuff. But I do want to have you back on so we can talk about, you know, one of the things I think that is really hard in our business is a lot of times our business dies with us, if that makes sense, right? And it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you are a perfect example of how there can be a transfer. Yes, it is within the family, but like whatever it tends to look like, there is a path through that. How does you make that happen? And like to the point where like now you have received it, now you have the ability to pass it as well. And I think there's a lot of agents out there who would love to kind of learn more about that, bumps and bruises of it, what it looks like to be the receiver then a passer. Like I just think there's a lot there that you could add a lot of benefit to people. I really, really do. So
Yeah, I would love to. So
cool. We'll have you back on. We'll go through the stats real quick. I when we were doing this beforehand, I was telling them like I don't even really care to do the stats. I don't think they super matter right now. Mainly because I've seen a change in the market in the past 2 weeks, and I don't have enough data to know if that is a fluke or a trend. But I think we've all noticed, because we talked about it, I've seen an uptick in showings. I've seen an uptick in offers. But I'm also about to have 2 weeks littered in here of fall break, so it may go down a little bit. Does that mean like those 2 weeks were a fluke, or like now we have
It's a seasonal market.
situation?
It's really become a seasonal
But
market
I feel
again.
like it's getting better. I mean, it has been an interesting 5 months. That has been a slog, in my opinion, of like every
that a
single
word?
day. I made it up. I'm just slogging through it.
yeah, I was like, I'm gonna Google that. Hey.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
always has a word of the week.
But
Been a few weeks, but that's a new one.
every single day, it's like, what's gonna pop up as an issue, right? And like it's just how it's been. You know, I've had a couple of deals where co-signer lost their job, right? So then I have to get a new co-signer on it, and then we have
That's
to
right.
go through that, and then they didn't know they're going to be a co-signer. So then we find out that they'd gotten a car, like we're the seller, but like find out that they'd bought a vehicle before they found out, like just all this
Nobody
stuff.
talked to them about anything, did they?
Yeah, there's just so much stuff that I just think this market's been a little interesting. But I
Well,
do
Jeff's
see
had
an
a few
uptick.
things fall through too. We've had the most fall throughs in the past year since years ago, and I can't remember the stats because I don't have them in front of me. I should write down all these stats that I've been compiling
Since
from
probably
hearing at
prior to
different things.
2020.
Oh my gosh, they said that it's up like 50%,
Yeah,
and
the fall-through rate
fall
is-
through rate
yeah.
is huge right now, and that's because nobody is. I don't know what giving
But-
expectations. Nobody's. I don't know what would
I
cause
just-
all that, but it's not the fact that
I think it's the properties. I think it's the tension of our society as a whole. I think that comes into play. Everybody feels a little contentious, you know, and I think maybe that's getting a little bit better.
I will tell
the
you, I
economy
know
stuff, you know.
inventory matters because buyers will jump ship for $2,000, $3,000. They'll find a way to get out
agree.
because a new one hit the market,
right.
and that's happening.
But a lot more.
But that used to
houses,
happen.
more houses are selling. So like, is it a proportional thing? So like,
I know.
we've had more fall through this year, but like we're also going to set probably our record for how many deals we've done in a year. So like where does that come into play? Is it
Yeah.
really a smaller number growth than I think because of volume growth as well, right?
Well, let me do Carmel real quick because I know we're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
32 hit the market in Carmel. Only 13 of those pended in the first week, but a total of 32 pended, so we didn't get any increase in inventory. The average days on market for the past 7 days in Carmel was 31. The median was 21. And active, there's currently 204 active in Carmel. The active homes are sitting at an average of 83 and the median of 39. So the actives are sitting for a little bit. That's almost 3 months. Sold in the past 30 days, 111. In the past 30 days, the average days on market were 22 and 9. All that shows is some sit, some sell. And then in Westfield, 27 hit the market. 4 of those pended, 20 total pended. Average days on market in Westfield for the past 7 days was 47 with a median of 19. There are currently 280 homes on the market in Westfield, with the average houses sitting on the market right now of 76 and a median of 57. 117 of those are new builds. 116 sold in the past 30 days, and average days on market for that was 43 and 24. So that's staying the same as the past 7 days. So we're kind of staying at around 40. Zionsville, 18 hit the market. Only 4 of those pended. A total of 11 pended in the past week. Average days on market 26, median 29. Don't know how that happened. 86 currently active sitting on the market in Zionsville with an average day of 79, a median of 47, and 34 sold in the past 30 days with an average day of 50 and a median 29. So our days on market are still going up.
In Fishers, I had 27 go on the market. 25 of them are still there, so 2 pended, but 27 total pended. Noblesville, I had 29. 21 of them are still there, so 8 of them pended, but 35 total pended.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's, I've got 8 pending in a week. I've got 2 pending in a week. What matters to me, so I've got 285 on the market in Fishers, 260 on the market in Noblesville. That is up there. I think it's fine. It's good. Average days on market is kind of the same, though. I mean, I've got 38 average days on market in Fishers, the median in the low 20s at 23. Noblesville, it's a little bit higher. Average days on market is 49. Median is 26, right? So, I mean, it's taken 3 weeks, it's mainly because they're going to list it. If it'll either be gone in a week, or they're going to be like, all right, well, let's see if anything comes out next week. If something we don't see comes out next week, we'll circle back, we'll go to it, we write it. You know what I mean? That's just kind of what I think we're seeing.
Buyers just have a chance to look.
They do, and they should.
And think. Look and think.
So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, first, again, thank you for coming on, but if anybody wants to get a hold of you outside of, obviously, they can reach out to you through YouTube, because you have all your YouTube videos, which are really, really good. How would somebody get a hold of you?
Easiest way would be go to my website, homesofindiana.com, or just call me, 317-918-5994.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you having you on. Yeah. And we're going to have you on again. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker. My number is 317-649-5122.
I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group. My phone number is 317-201-2601. Thanks so much. See you next week.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.